Hey guys, Christian King here today with a new, I was about to say another episode of Minecraft Dinosaurs, but this isn't an episode of Minecraft Dinosaurs. This is a very special video. This was actually, this whole thing I'm about to show you, which you can see right now, the Velociraptor. This was linked to me by one of you guys, so that's pretty cool that you guys showed me this. And I thought it was so cool, I decided to make this video and show it all to you guys, so you guys could see what I'm seeing here. This is actually up on the wiki. There's a link to the Fossils and Archaeology image page for all the new models and textures, if you guys want to check them out yourselves. But I thought I'd make this video. Also, if you're wondering about the yellow border around the picture, that is part of the picture itself, and I can't get rid of it. So, yeah. But anyway, this is the brand new Velociraptor model, and like I've told you guys in previous episodes of Minecraft Dinosaurs, there is new textures for male and female. I think they're kind of deviating away from the multiple textures for the dinosaurs and just going for a male and a female. So, here's my mouse. So this is the male, obviously, and that's the female. There's not all that much difference between them, other than that the male has a slightly more reddish pelt and has, by the looks of it, slightly larger head feathers. That's really the only difference. And then this is just showing it in some of the new poses. That's the sleeping pose, which I think it's really cool that they're adding sleeping to this. So you'll have to go at, especially since I think this update is going to be 1.7. So we'll get this for our current season of dinosaurs. We're going to be able to have to go through the park at certain times of day to see something like the raptors. That is, I think, that's probably just a random animation or the hunting animation, because I'm pretty sure they're working on hunting animation in AI. And then that's the sitting one, which I'm pretty sure is going to be for when you tell them to stay. They're going to sit now. Okay, so that's the Velociraptor. If I had to give this one, texture-wise, if I had to give it on a scale of 1 to 10, what I would give it is probably, for the individual texture itself, I'd probably give it a 8. It's pretty good. But in terms of male-female contrast and being, easily able, and, just being able to know, okay, this one's the female, this one's the male, I'd probably give it, a 3, because it's pretty hard to tell unless you really know what to look for. Because if you don't, you're just going to see two raptors that look pretty much exactly the same. Okay, so let's go on to the next one, which is the Tyrannosaurus Rex. So, I just have to say, right off the bat with this one, I don't like it. I think the thing I don't like the most, one is probably the female Rex. I don't like that skin at all. I think the actual skin itself, especially for the head and legs, is too pale. Feathers are a weird gray color. It looks like just a very big carnivorous ostrich, which I don't think it looks that good personally. The male I think looks a little bit better, but again, I don't like the feathers on it. I've seen them do really good feathers on dinosaurs, and I think it's kind of sad that this one they couldn't. That to me, it just doesn't look quite right. Because I really like T-Rex, I really like feathered T-Rexes. I like to draw feathered T-Rexes all the time. So I think it's kind of sad to me that this one doesn't look the most top quality. I mean, out of all of this, I'd probably give this model this texture, probably a 5 out of 10, just because. I mean, it looks okay. It's not terrible, but it's not the best. I think they would look better if they did. I think these skins themselves would look better if it was pale all the way along the body, no feathers, or darker brown along the back, arms, and head, and then paler on the belly with no feathers. I think these feathers just need a slightly different colored skin or something. I'm not exactly sure what would work better according to me. Actually, I think if we chose these skins, instead of going for dark gray or colored feathers, I'd probably... Well, actually, I think it's also the pattern I don't like. I don't know. This one's just kind of bugging me. Then we have two other animations, and yes, I think this is now the hunt or attack animation pose thing. So that's the new T-Rex one, sitting and sleeping. The sleeping, I think, is just going to be the usual hurt T-Rex pose, because they look very similar. Okay, so let's move on to the next one now. Triceratops. This is one of my favorites. This is one I'd rate at a 9 for 2 reasons. One, that's a stinking awesome texture, and it kind of reminds me of the ones from Jurassic Park, which is really cool. And 2, it's really easy to tell which is which, male and female, which is actually with the T-Rex, that's a really good thing as well. On the male, female, different in spectrum. These guys score highly because it's really easy to tell, okay, you got a female or you got a male. But back to Triceratops, I like this one. I love the male texture, especially with the really brilliant looking frill. I love what they've done with a bit of a remodel on the horns, causing them to go slightly more outward, like a real Triceratops. So I think this is going to be a charging animation, which looks, well, when it goes into action, we actually see the Triceratops charging. I think that's going to look really cool. The sleeping animation, to be honest though, looks like it's dead. The sleeping pose just looks like the Triceratops fell over and died. Again, like Jurassic Park with the sick one, it just looks a little weird, I'd say. And the sitting one as well. I don't think Triceratops generally looks that good in a sleeping or sitting pose. I think they look better with the standing or running pose. But that's just my preference. Texture-wise, I'd probably, if I didn't say this earlier, again, like the Velociraptors, I'd probably give them an 8. Just because this isn't my most favorite texture, but it is up there pretty highly. And as well for the ease to tell them apart, I think it's easiest to tell them apart based on the frill, mostly frill and eyes. So probably give them about a 7 or so, because you have to be looking at pretty much from the front to know which one is which. Okay, next one. Okay, this is just a picture of some of the terror birds they've redone. So, and the size difference. I think the size difference is a lot more obvious now with these new remodels. The neck looks it looks a little bit weird on some of them. I'd say the weirdest one is probably Gastornis. Gastornis' head just doesn't look big enough anymore. Coelacanth's neck looks a little bit too crooked. But I think these two, I think Titanis actually pulls off this new neck look the best, especially with that feather style. But yeah, that's just the new ones. Forest Raucus's head feathers kind of look a little weird. It looks like he's got little dreadlocks flying off in the wind. I don't know. Next up is Stegosaurus, and this one kind of made me a little bit sad. I understand this might be a little bit more realistic to have the plates be slightly smaller and not as gigantic. Now this is something I just realized that I think is kind of weird. The females' plates, it looks like, are actually bigger than the males, or at least they're more pointed than the males are, which I think is kind of weird looking. Also, I'm not the biggest fan of this texture. I mean, I do love the yellow Stegosaurus texture, but I don't know. This one just doesn't work for me quite all that well. It looks more like a leopard, which, actually, you know what this reminds me of? If you guys have read the Jurassic Park novel, you'll know that the Dilophosaurus is described as being yellow with black spots and a red crest. It looks like they tried to do that with a Stegosaurus, which I just don't think looks as good. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. I do like the new head they've given it. I think that looks really good. More Stegosaurian. Texture-wise, give them a 6 for it. That's what I would rate this. It's not my favorite. The female, I would say, looks better than the male does. Actually, if I can edit if I decide to edit these textures, I think they would look a lot better if you get rid of these blackish stripes going on them. I think they'd look better without those, but that's my preference. Attack animation looks cool. Sleeping animation looks really good. Again, with the Triceratops, I think they suffer with the sitting animation or pose, and that it just doesn't look super good. I gotta start saying pose, not animation, because these aren't animated. There's some clips some people have, some of the team members have shown, where it's like some of these things have been animated. Mostly it's just the T-Rex or the Raptors, but yeah, I'd like to see all of this stuff fully animated, see what it's gonna look like. But let's move on to the next animal, which is the Spinosaur. I love this new Spinosaur skin. It looks really cool. It's kind of like a tiger, I'd say. Reminds me a lot of the raptors from The Lost World. I'm going to make a lot of comparisons to animals from Jurassic Park in this video, if you haven't already guessed. But I like how it looks. I love the new sail that they went for the more... I think it's the slightly longer, elongated sail that's more realistic to how they probably would have actually looked. They haven't gone for the four-armed one, the four-legged one, because I don't really want to go through the whole argument they gave. It's basically that the whole four-legged Spinosaurus thing that you guys might know about from last year is most likely not actually a Spinosaurus, or it is. There's just a lot of controversy in the scientific community on whether or not it's an actual Spinosaur. and whether or not Spinosaurus could actually support walking on 4 legs. So yeah, I don't really want to delve into that too much. But this attack pose looks pretty cool. I like that they're going to start implementing opening jaws for the carnivores, because that's something I think that made Jurassic Craft look pretty cool when the animals were fighting, is that the carnivores are actually open their jaws and start biting at the herbivores, whereas these guys just kind of run into them with their heads down. Sitting pose looks okay, not the best one, and sleeping pose looks pretty good as well. Texture-wise, I'd give these guys probably another 8. 8 is probably about the most average high score I'm going to give these animals. It looks really cool. Difference between male and female, give that maybe around a 6. Because the only thing that is different between the two is just, if you see here, the little crest above the eye, right in front of the eyes, is a slightly darker red, and then you've just got a stripe going along the sail for the male. Okay, let's move on to the next one now, which is Smilodon. And I'm going to say this is a pretty cool one. I like it. I don't like the sitting pose that much. I think it would work more if there were more blocks in the legs to kind of make it, to work that pose a bit better for a cat, but the sleeping pose looks pretty good, running pose looks good, but as you guys can now tell, there is like 0 difference between male and female. They look exactly identical. From what I can tell, there is no difference. Also, I mean, yes, this is a really good model. I'm impressed with how realistic this looks, but I have to say, when this comes, I'm gonna miss the old Smilodon model. I don't know, it was cute. That's actually one thing that's going to keep coming up with a few of the later animals as well, is that I like these new ones. They look really realistic, and that's really good because Revival is all about realism. Or at least realism within Minecraft, so it still looks Minecrafty, but it also looks like a real animal. But I don't know, I think it's just that I've been playing this mod for so long, I'm going to miss a lot of the really old models that... Like, when the new T-Rex model came out ages ago, when they reverted from the old 80s model to the more modern, like, 2000s model of the T-Rex, I kind of missed the 80s one, because it was one that had been in there for years, and it was really normal to see that one. So I think it's just going to be hard to get used to Smilodon. Also, I'm sad they're getting... I don't know if they're going to completely get rid of the alternate skins for the animals, but... I'm kind of sad the white Smilodon, if they are, I'm going to be kind of sad to see the white Smilodon go, because that was a really cool skin. So let's go on to the next one. In terms of texture, I'd give these guys a 9, because it looks like what I always imagined a Smilodon looking like. In terms of differences between male and female, they get a 1, because they look exactly the same. There's no way to tell them apart, except for a Dinopedia, probably. Ooh, Pteranodon. This one I like. Mainly because it's very easy to tell male and female apart. Not just from, like, the wings and body aren't very different, but the head is extremely different. Over here you've got a more pale head with a much shorter crest, whereas males have much larger crests and a much darker head. So I think that looks really cool. I really like the new male's head. I love how that looks. In terms of texture, I'd say it's kind of a plain texture. I call these the panda pteranodons just because they've got panda-like textures. I don't know. So if I get rating for the texture, probably a 6, just because it's kind of plain compared to what we have right now, which is like the brown and purple, what's the other one? There's the red one, there's the black one. Like, there's a lot more textures right now that look, I'd say, better than this does, but if this is apparently more realistic, it's okay. Pose-wise, we've seen all these poses before, except for the sleeping one, because these two are already in the game. Sleeping one looks okay, very bird-like. Yeah. In terms of difference, I'd give these guys a 10, or maybe not, maybe an 8, yeah. Because unless you're probably looking at them from below, it's fairly easy to tell them apart. Next one is the Plesiosaur. I love this new model, to be honest. I mean, the old one was really cute and stuff, but this one is amazing. I love how they've done this. Now, if you guys didn't know this already, the guy, who is it? I think it's iLexicon, who I think was the lead guy on Jurassic Craft for a while. I don't know if he still is. I think he might be, but I'm not sure. A lot of chaos has happened with the Jurassic Craft, but He's now coming onto this mod to help them work with animations and stuff. And you can I could say you could definitely see that with how this is made and textured. This looks a lot like one of the Jurassic Craft animals, just more simplified for revival, but I love this. I think it looks amazing. Male female difference, bit hard to tell. I'd give that probably about a 4, mainly just because the male is just slightly brighter. In terms of overall texture quality, this is one of the few I'm going to give a 10. I love how this texture looks. Faithful to the original kind of design they had, but the stripes I think look really, really cool. And yeah, sleeping pose looks okay. I'm not really sure how that's going to work in the game. Are they going to come on to land to sleep? Because I'm not exactly sure how an aquatic reptile sleeps. I imagine, to be honest, I'm not really sure on a lot of things that have to do with the ocean. I'm more land animal, pterosaurs kind of thing. Marine reptiles are a bit fuzzy with me. So maybe they just swam to the surface or something. I don't know. If you guys want to tell me exactly how a whale or a plesiosaur would have slept, feel free to tell that in the comments. I'd like to know. But let's move on. Pachy. Now this is the second one that made me sad. I love the current Pachycephalosaurus model. It's one of my favorites. It's super adorable. This one's more realistic, but like the cute factor to me is just gone with this. But it's more realistic, which is nice. Texture-wise, I'd give these guys a 5 or 4 maybe. I don't really like this texture all that much. It's too spotty and brown. Like, you know, actually, I know a dinosaur I think, according to me at least, this would work on. I think this would work for a Pachycephalosaurus's texture. Maybe I'll flash one of those on screen right now, just like right here, to show you what the Pachycephalosaurus is if you don't know what it is already. But yeah, I think this texture would work better for one of those than a Pachycephalosaurus. I think if they're going to go for this color scheme, maybe a dark brown stripe going down the back, maybe a few little indents with it on around here, maybe just do a continuous stripe from the head, but then make it more just a solid beige going down the sides. Like, yeah, just get rid of most of the spots, and I think it would look a lot better. I think it's just hard for me to get by this new head. I don't know. Anyway, for the poses, the sleeping pose, good. Sitting pose, good. Attack pose, good. Male and female difference, I'd give that maybe a 7. It's pretty easy to tell them apart, I'd say. Let's move on. Mosasaurus. Now this is the one for the male-female difference that I'd give like a 4 to, because it's I'd say it's harder to tell these guys apart, especially when they're underwater. But as for the model hasn't changed at all, I think. Textures have, I'd say these are both probably 7s or 8s, because they look pretty much just like the ones we currently have, the blue Mosasaurus texture, which I really like. I kind of like that one more than the green one, but the green one is still pretty cool. As for the poses, sleeping pose looks cool. Stay pose looks pretty much exactly the same as the hunting pose. So, yeah. Not much to talk about with the Mosasaur. To the next one. Nautilus. So the Nautilus, it looks like it's gonna get a remodel, and this was the coolest thing I saw. It looks like Mosasaurs are now going to be able to attack Nautiluses, and there's going to be some sort of animation to it. That really excites me. I love that idea. It looks really cool. Nautilus, it's okay, I think. There's no difference between male and female that's visible, really, unless you look at them from a Dinopedia. I like that they're not the sleeping pose. I like as well how it's going to completely shut them in the box, or not the box, the shell. I think that's really cool. That's all. I'm not really going to talk much about Nautilus just because. Mammoth. So the Mammoth is keeping pretty much the same exact texture, no real male or female difference. I already like this texture the most out of all the Mammoth ones, so I'd give the main texture an 8. Pose-wise, also you can see the tusks are now going to be completely 3D modeled and kind of like that. I think it looks okay. Actually, that is the main difference between male and female. I just realized is that the females have shorter tusks, which is okay. Still kind of hard to tell the difference, I'd say. But in terms of poses, that looks fine. The attack pose looks fine. Sitting pose is okay. It kind of looks like it's gonna go poop, to be honest. And its sleeping pose just looks like it died. Looks like it got hit by a truck or something. The poor mammoth, man. But let's go on to the next animal, which is Liopleurodon. Which, again, I think with the aquatic animals, is just no real difference between male or female. Except the female, like the Mosasaurus, is slightly more green, while the male is more blue. Attack pose, cool looking. Stay pose is just its regular pose. And the sleeping pose is okay. Overall, Liopleurodon's texture, I'd say an 8. I'd like this one better than the current one. I think the current one is actually based on the Walking with... Is it Walking with Dinosaurs? Is it that series? I think it's the Walking with Dinosaurs BBC series that the current Liopleurodon texture is based off of. Yeah. Now, again, not much to talk about with Liopleurodon. Nothing's changed except the texture, really. Gastornis. Okay. So this is the one I'm going to spend a bit more time on because it's changed rather drastically, I'd say. The body, I think, is still the same as well as the legs, but the neck and head are completely different now. And I just have to be honest and say I don't like this new head. It's, in my opinion, it looks a bit too thin or elongated. It looks more elongated than it should be. I mean, maybe that's more realistic. Again, I don't really know that much about terror, but I'd kind of like maybe if this part of the head here where the eye is maybe slightly bigger. Just realized again there's no difference between male and female except for maybe the male's head is slightly darker. Not exactly able to make sure of that. I'd prefer the old Gastornis model to this one, even though this one's probably gonna have better animations. Like I think this is the attack one. If they get the legs fully animated and stuff while it's running, that's gonna look really cool. I'm excited to see that. Also excited to see the speeds of the terror birds and Gallimimus. Those are ones I'm really looking forward to seeing run. Sitting looks really good. Sleeping looks kind of funny. It kind of looks like a giraffe that fell over. Just like, hey, my head's on the ground and I can't get up. Somebody help me. But yeah, that's the thing. Texture-wise, it's the same exact texture as last time, so I'd give it maybe a 7. Terms of male-female quality, 1 again because they don't have any differences. Gallimimus! I like the new Gallimimus. I love how this looks. Really cool looking texture. The head is awesome. You know, I wish they'd done something more like this for the T-Rex. Where it's, I mean, like this gray skin looks really good with the brownish feathers. I think that's how they should have done it for the Rexes because I don't think the gray feathers with the brown skin generally looked all that great. Whitish brownish reddish feathers with grayer skin I think looks really good. It's one of my favorite types of ways of doing it. Or maybe brown, really dark brown feathers on lighter brown skin. I think that looks really good as well. But I'd rate this Gallimimus texture a 10. This is one of the few I'd definitely give a 10 because I love how this looks. It looks really cool. I love the new poses, especially with the arms out for the Gallimimus. That looks really awesome. Sleeping pose, I think it would be kind of cooler if the Gallimimus tucked its head under its arm. I think that would look really cool. Sitting pose is exactly the same as the sleeping one, just the head's up. But yeah, that's Gallimimus. These are some, I know they've remodeled the Coelacanth now, but I guess they're apparently it looks at this rate like they're apparently adding in the alligator gar and the sturgeon. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe they're prehistoric surviving fish as well. Not sure. They look pretty cool. Looks awesome. Yeah. Next is the Elasmotherium. Has same exact texture as the brown one. No male-female differences. This one, okay, so when I originally saw the Elasmotherium model, like the original one we have right now, I said, that doesn't look all that great. I don't like it. That one grew on me. I have to say this one just doesn't look that good. The legs look really weird. I think they've taken the Triceratops' legs and put them on here. The legs just look too weird. Body is too, I don't know. I just don't like how the new Elasmotherium looks. The sleeping pose is good. Again, like the Mammoth, I think it looks like it's taking a poop, which is, I don't know why. It just does look like that. So texture-wise, I'd give this a 6 or 7. Male-female difference 1. Overall quality, I mean, it's a good idea to make it look like this, but I just don't think it looks all that great. I think you need to do a Jurassic Craft quality model so like it won't look like it's from Minecraft anymore. You just need more detail, I think. Or like what they do with the mammoths, how they have the pixelated fur texture coming down at the bottom. I think that might make it look slightly better so it doesn't look so, I don't know, like flat abbed right there. That's the Elasmotherium, not one of my favorites they've redone, but let's move on. Oh, dodos! Dodo. I wish they'd kept the brown dodo as the, I don't know if this was originally what they were going to do, but from what I saw originally, I thought it was going to be the brown dodo was the male and the gray dodo was going to be the female. Because the gray dodo texture here is pretty much the exact same. I think the feathers on the body and arms might be slightly more gunmetal gray colored. Dodo texture overall, I'd say is 7. Looks pretty good. Male female difference about a 5 maybe. Not all that much difference except a slightly darker neck and a slightly darker gunmetal gray. Slightly darker end of the beak as well, I think. Pose wise, they've switched these ones. The sleeping pose looks okay. Sitting pose is the same. It kind of looks like it's going to sit on eggs. That'd be really cool if they make nests for that. And the walking one looks pretty cool as well. Dilophosaurus, this is one of my favorites. This is one I'm putting the new texture at 10 because I love how this thing looks. It's awesome. Dilophosaurus is one of my top carnivores. I think my top carnivore though is Carnotaurus, or what was it? It's Carnotaurus or Utah Raptor, I think is one of my top carnivores. This guy's on my top carnivore list though, and he looks awesome. The male I especially love. The female, I think, you know, the reason I love these ones so much is that they remind me highly of the Jurassic Park ones. This one especially. Wait, no, is it? I think it might be the female more because I think the one in the film had darker crests, but they look so similar. It's so cool looking. I love these ones and how they look. Love the new model. I love everything about the Dilophosaurus, and texture-wise, 10 male-female difference. I'd give it about a 6. Again, not much difference unless you're looking at the crest. Pose-wise, awesome. Sitting, awesome. Laying down, sleeping, awesome. I love the Dilophosaurus. This is going to be really cool. I can't wait to get these new ones in my park. It's going to be awesome to see these. I don't see any feathers on them though, and I'm not sure if it's either that Dilophosaurus is it known to have feathers? I think when I was reading up on it, it's not known to currently have feathers yet, or I don't know. It looks cool anyway. That's awesome. Deinonychus. I don't like this texture. I really don't like it. I assume that's meant to be the scales at the end of the snout. This is kind of like how I draw my raptors. It looks like human flesh at the end. I assume it's meant to be more like a brownish, kind of like it's got like the tan Velociraptor skin, but it looks too human-y. I don't know. I think that's what's wrong with the beak. The end of the mouth, not the beak. It's not a bird. Unless you classify them completely as birds at this point. Feather-wise, I like the feathers on this. It looks really cool. I love the newer, more bushier feathers at the base of the neck. I think it works until you get to the head. Once you get to about there, then it kind of falls apart, I'd say. Different head textures needed. I'd say either pull the black feathers up to maybe like here, and then just make, I don't know, like a white skin or something. I don't know. I don't like this brownish, peachish flesh color. I don't like that at all. So overall texture rating, unless we go for the head, I'd say this would have been a 10, but because of the head, it's going to be a 7. Male-female difference is a 1. There is literally no difference except for a slightly darker male. Pose-wise, that looks pretty good. I like the poses for these. The Deinonychus looks pretty good. The next one, this isn't the last one. This is one of the last ones. Compy. No male-female difference. Texture, I'd give a 6. It's okay, but I think they previously had better feathered textures for compies. I like the attack pose. That looks really cool, like they're gonna jump on things. Sleeping pose. This one has one of those ones where it just looks dead. It literally looks dead. I imagine this having more of a Deinonychus. Like, if it had this but the head just slightly more forward down, I think it would look a lot better for the sleeping instead of its head lying on the side like it's been hit by a car. But let's move on. This is, again, not the last one. I really thought we were on the end, but I don't know how long I've been recording this for. Ceratosaurus. Texture's okay. I don't like the male that much. It looks kind of weird to have this. I think it would have looked better if it had a darker brown for the head instead of a really pale brown. Overall texture for the female, I'd give an 8. Male, I'd give a 7 because the female one looks a lot better. Male-female difference, a 6. Poses, all average. I think it's an okay one. This is one of the more average dinosaur demos they've done. Not one of the top ones though. Brachiosaurus, this is one of the favorites. This is a 10 out of 10 texture job, I'd say. It looks phenomenal. I think this is a slightly brand new model. The sitting pose is always weird looking. I like the sleeping pose. The walking pose looks awesome. I just can't wait to see these guys. Male-female difference though is unfortunately like a 2 because the only difference is the crest color. But oh, I can't wait to get this texture. It looks so cool. It's pretty awesome. Ankylosaurus is this is another one where I'd say the old model was better. It's less realistic, but it looked better. The head is too big looking. I don't think Ankylosaurus heads are supposed to be that big compared to body size. Not exactly sure on that. I might look that up in one of my dinosaur books in a minute, but actually I have my phone by me. I'm going to look up Ankylosaurus and see, because I kind of doubt that its head is supposed to be that big compared to its body. That looks a little ridiculous. Ankylosaurus. Images. Yeah. Oh, wow. I guess I might be kind of wrong. It does show them with large heads, but I don't know. I think that one's head might just be a bit too big. If you shrink it down a bit, I think it'll look slightly less disproportionate. Body, I think the body needs to be less flat at the top. I don't know. Like maybe make the spikes 3D on those sides, because that would look pretty cool. Texture, I'd give a 6. I don't like this texture very much. Male-female difference, 3. Again, one of these dinosaurs that's just kind of harder to tell the difference. Poses are okay. This one looks kind of funny. It looks like it's trying to swim for the sitting pose. The attack pose looks pretty cool. Sleeping pose just looks like it fell on something and passed out. Oh, this is the final one. Okay, Allosaurus. This is one of the ones I'd give a 9 for both the textures. It looks pretty cool. Though I like the male one. I mean, I know that's meant to be markings, but this black stuff around the eyes looks like scar tissue kind of. So it looks like the male's been up and about, roughing it up with other males. Been in a couple battles himself and survived. It looks pretty cool. I like the overall new texture. I like this brownish coloring on the lighter brown. Looks really cool with the stripes as well. I like the really defined crests over the eyes in the red. Yeah, pose-wise, everything looks good. Anyway, guys, I guess this is going to be the end of the episode. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Leave your thoughts on what you thought about all these textures and models. And until next time, peace.